Howdy y'all, I'm Jen. Welcome back to our mountain home. Today I'm going to share my experiment with my Harvest Right freeze dryer. I am packaging up a whole bunch of the meat that we have. We're trying to clear out some of the deep freezers. So when I started, guys, the meat that I'm cooking right now is 39.12 pounds of pork. When it is done cooking, I'm going to weigh it all again and let you know how much weight was lost during cooking. And then I'm also going to weigh it again after it is freeze dried so that I can give you a final weight on how much weight was lost through the total process. I think this is going to be really interesting, and please let me know in the comment section if you enjoy videos like this. I want this to be informative and also entertaining, so please let me know how I'm doing. I'm pretty new at freeze drying still, guys. I'm still trying to learn the ropes, so I'm taking you guys along for the journey as I learn how to use this and reap all the benefits of owning a Harvest Right freeze dryer. So my family and I bought off-grid property in Arkansas, and one of the things that I'm doing to prepare for our move is I want to freeze dry a lot of the meat that we have because we won't have a way to preserve all of our meat. We've got several deep freezers full because we like to stock up when things are on sale. Today I have over 39 pounds of pork that I'm going to be freeze drying. I am choosing to cook the meat first because when we move and I want quick meals, it'll be easy just to rehydrate fully cooked meat already. I am lightly seasoning it. I pretty much add salt and pepper on everything that I cook, so I'm just pre-seasoning it. So I don't even have to season it when I thaw it out. I can just rehydrate it with some hot water and it's ready to go. These country style ribs are really fatty. After this is finished cooking, I'm going to remove all the fat because the fat does not freeze dry well. Anyway, I didn't have enough room in my oven for all of the meat all at one time. It is just a regular kitchen stove. It's nothing fancy. So I decided I was gonna start cooking these, and then when all those ribs are done, I'll pull those out of the oven and put these roasts in. Now you see how the whole roast has a beautiful crust all the way around it? That is going to be so good. So now that the roast is seared all the way around it, I'm going to go ahead and turn down the heat and I'm going to start cooking it a lot slower. But you got to have your pan nice and hot to get that nice sear on there. And then all these drippings in the bottom of the pan has the salt and pepper and the grease and stuff. That is what makes the best gravy. Now that this is done, I'm just going to turn the heat down on it and let it slow cook. And when those ribs are done here in a few more minutes, I'm going to go ahead and pull the ribs out and put these in the oven and let them finish cooking. Alright y'all, I ran into my first problem. I cooked up a bunch of pork country style ribs and they were really fatty. I thought it would be easier to separate the meat from the fat after they were cooked, but they are just so fatty. I would say they're probably 50% fat, which is ridiculous. So I've decided to give up and not freeze dry any of the country style ribs. I feel like I'm wasting way too much of the meat by having to separate the fat out, and so here's what I've got. I started and I cut it up into chunks. You can tell these are pretty lean pieces. I cut all the fat off. The reason you have to cut all the fat off is because the fat doesn't freeze dry well. You can see this pot is full of a bunch of the fat and the bones and stuff like that that won't freeze dry. And then I decided to give up, so I just packaged them in Ziploc bags, and we're just gonna eat them as leftovers over the next couple of days. So for future reference, guys, I am not going to waste my time buying any more really fatty pork or beef. I'm only going to work on freeze drying really lean cuts like pork loin and chicken and turkey and that kind of thing. So we lost quite a bit of weight. We lost about half of our weight in the freeze drying process. We also lost quite a bit of weight in the cooking process. So I'll put those numbers right over here. This is what we started with. This is what we had after we cooked it. And this was our final weight after freeze drying. All right, now it's time to bag and tag this stuff and get it all put up. I've got to say, guys, this is actually really good. It's a little bit crunchy, but it's also really soft. Obviously, it's really, really dry. But I seasoned it with salt, pepper, and garlic powder before I baked it. So it's got a really, really good flavor. I think I'm going to package this into 1 pound packages, which should even out to about 2 pounds of meat per package rehydrated, which is about perfect for our family size. We're a family of 6. So I think that's going to work out really good for us. Let's get this done. I'm going to see how much I can fit in this small bag. Definitely not going to be able to fit a whole pound in there, so I'm just going to throw a oxygen absorber in there. It's about 11 ounces. The other night, I ended up making way too much spaghetti. Normally, I just put it in the fridge and the kids eat it as leftovers the next day or the next couple of days. But this time, we decided to freeze dry it, and this tray was just about full. I'm gonna do a taste test on this while it's dry, and then I'm also going to show you guys how I rehydrate it. And then I'm gonna taste it after it's been rehydrated and let you guys know how it changed throughout the freeze drying process. I did not weigh this before we put it in the freeze dryer, so I don't know how much we started out with. So I've just got a chunk here. I've got a little bit of sauce, a little bit of noodles, some meat. Let's see how it tastes. Mmm. That is so good. I think that's better freeze dried than it was fresh. But let's run it through the rehydration process and see how it changed. First, I'm gonna bag it all up while I boil some water, and then I'll be right back with you. All right, guys, it's time for the rehydration. Let's see how this goes. I'm gonna put it on time lapse though, because it is gonna take several minutes, and just to keep it a little more interesting, I'm gonna put it on time lapse so it goes by a little bit faster. But let's do the pork first, and then we're going to rehydrate the spaghetti, and then we will do taste tests on both and see how they turned out. Okay, the spaghetti has been rehydrating for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes. And most of it's good. These bigger chunks of meat, they're still a little bit dry. Let's give it a taste and see how it turned out. Y'all ready for this? It smells good. That is excellent. I don't think it changed at all. Now, time to taste test the pork. I did add, I don't know how much water to add, so I added a little too much. You might be able to see a little bit of a puddle right here, but I think it's still gonna be all right. I'm just gonna use the same fork because I don't care. All right. So, first I wanna talk about the texture of the meat. You can tell that it kind of rips apart like, I don't know. This piece is not done hydrating yet. So this has been sitting here for about 6 or 7 minutes. These larger pieces are still kind of dry, but it tastes really good.
I never got to taste the fully dried pork.
Well, here, taste this. This is really good. Okay, so I'm gonna taste some of this stuff that is smaller pieces.
That's more like a pork.
It's messy. Y'all had some good stuff. If I didn't know any better, I wouldn't have never guessed it was freeze-dried. I don't think the texture or the consistency has changed at all. I don't think the flavor has changed at all. I think it's really good. So anyway, y'all, stay tuned for my next freeze dryer experiment. When I pulled all of this stuff out of the freeze dryer, I decided I was going to try to freeze dry milk and coffee creamer. Wiley and I get this Wide Awake coffee creamer from our local grocery store. It's Italian sweet cream flavored, and it is just the best coffee creamer I've ever had. And I'm really afraid that when we move to Arkansas, we won't be able to find it. So I'm just doing an experiment. It is one of those luxury items, so I'm not gonna be able to like freeze dry a lifetime supply of it. But to have it in powder form would be really awesome, because then it wouldn't go bad and we can still enjoy it on occasion and not have to completely go without, at least right out the gate. As for the milk, I am freeze drying whole milk. I'm not exactly sure how that's gonna turn out yet. I know that the powdered milk that you buy is just, it doesn't taste very good. So I'm gonna try to make our own, because I use powdered milk to make things like hot chocolate. The kids really, really like homemade hot chocolate. I also got a recipe from Leanne at the Mennonite Farmhouse. It is a recipe for ranch seasoning powder, as opposed to buying the Hidden Valley stuff, which, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love that Hidden Valley ranch seasoning. However, it does have bad chemicals in it, like MSG, monosodium glutamate in it, which has been linked to all sorts of different kinds of cancers and health problems and stuff. So I tried Leanne's recipe, and it's not quite Hidden Valley, but it's a good enough substitute that I haven't bought Hidden Valley in a while. However, whole dry milk is hard to find. You can find non-fat dry milk pretty much at any store, but to find whole milk that's dry in powder form, I found it really hard. I had to order it online, and it wasn't cheap. So I decided I'm gonna try to make our own, just for those specific recipes, but also it's always a good idea to have milk stocked back just in case of emergencies. So that will be the next video that I put out on my freeze drying experiments. I hope you come back to watch that. If you like videos like this, please don't forget to leave me a comment. Leave me a suggestion. What do you think I should freeze dry next? I have lots of vegetables that I'm going to be freeze drying in the near future, and there'll be more meat as we prepare for our move to Arkansas. But if you'd like to see me freeze dry something interesting, please leave a comment and I'll consider doing that. Also, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on any of our freeze drying experiments. As always, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate you, and I hope you have a blessed day.